If you're feeling like you don't have a lot of people who understand your vision or your dreams, or maybe you were like me, like a popular loner, I call it, because I knew a lot of people, but I didn't really feel connected. Recently, I decided, why don't I just become my best friend? And I started this whole glow up journey of discovering my relationship with myself. It was so overdue. I felt like I needed to do this maybe 10 years ago. So if you're feeling lonely, I just want to say, use that to your advantage. It's actually a good thing, okay? And there's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Okay, being alone is literally there's no one else around you. If you live alone, you don't have roommates, you literally are alone, right? Like that's the concept. Feeling lonely is a state of being. You could be surrounded by a lot of people and still feel lonely. So that's the difference. Although I knew a lot of people, I still felt lonely. And there was like this void that I was always trying to fill. And I didn't really understand that until this past year. I just want to share some of the things that helped me heal. I no longer feel loneliness the way that I did before. Of course, we're human at some points. Of course, I might feel lonely again, but honestly, lately, I spend a lot of time alone, other than being with my fiance, but I spend a lot of time alone. I actually feel happier. I've realized that there was a period in my life, I was so like desperate. Things just never really felt natural. Like it felt like forced in a way. I think before I was operating in a people pleaser mode still, where I was just wanting to be validated, honestly, validated by what people thought of me. And I realized so much insecurity that I had not dealt with. It wasn't until I started building my relationship with myself that I realized I don't even need that validation. We don't need that validation. We put ourselves through so much stress about what people think about us. It's truly like, I would say, the number one thing that holds us back in so many ways. Whether that be trying new things in our career, we are scared to leave because we're worried what other people or maybe our family might say about us. There's just so many things that we hold ourselves back in because of the fear of what others will think, whether we want to admit it or not. Because I feel like there was a lot of times where I'm like, I don't care what people think, but deep down I actually did when you look beneath the surface. And I think a lot of us are still operating in that type of mentality. But I want to give you some tips on how I was able to work through this. And now I feel so much happier by myself. Even in like, I'm in a place now where if I do meet good people, like we vibe. And it's not saying that I'm against it. I'm comfortable being alone now. Like I'm truly happy when I go do things by myself. I've started going to Pilates by myself, and I have never been more consistent in my health and fitness routines. And I just started building that trust within myself, and I started showing up for myself without needing someone else to go with me, without needing someone else's approval or validation. And I want that for you. Just because you don't have friends, or maybe you don't have a partner, someone significant other, it doesn't mean you can't go out there and do things. I truly believe that once we heal ourselves by building that relationship with ourselves, everything else in our life just gets better. The relationships we have with other people, friendships, love, all of that. It is true. They do say for a reason, how can anyone love you if you don't love yourself? There are advantages to being alone. I owe a lot of my progress in my career to being alone, because I was able to spend a lot more time and energy on the things that I love and get better at them. Super laser focused on my path, try new things, use that time to experiment with what you like and what you don't like. Like I remember when we first moved to LA 5 years ago, I had the intention to get into music full time, be a singer. There was always this unsettling feeling that I wasn't on the right path. It was very, very confusing for a long time. I'd be at home a lot. And I remember I had a remote job at the time while I tried to figure things out. And I was like, so confused. Like, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? I know how it feels to feel confused, lost, lonely. But the thing is, if I could go back and change anything, it would be my mindset on that feeling. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to feel lost. It's actually a great place to be, because you are in a position to make change and go any direction that you really want. It all comes down to just, how do I listen to my intuition and my truest inner voice, and use that time when you're alone to just silence all the noise, okay? You don't have distractions. Going out with friends is great, but sometimes if you constantly just go out and socialize, you're constantly filled with other people's stories and other people's business, other people's lives, and you kind of just like distract yourself from your own life. I am so grateful for makeup because for me it was therapy during these lonely days when I felt like I was just lost. All I would do every day is do my makeup different, experiment with different looks, and it really helped me direct that energy into something. Otherwise, you're just gonna let time pass, and what's the point of that? You know, you might as well be doing something while time is passing and be perfecting a skill, getting better at something, building a community at something, whatever. And it creates compound over time because all those years that I spent alone, I actually feel like had a huge snowball effect when the pandemic hit and I started posting content. I feel like I had already been practicing all of my skills on video, like practicing filming and practicing lighting, practicing makeup. That was a little bit of an advantage for me personally. The same could be for you. You're also in a great position to get curious about your habits. Really try to understand who you really are as a person. I felt so confused for so long about who I was and what my values were. Why am I in the position that I'm in? Whether you're unhappy maybe with your financial situation, maybe you're at a job you don't like, maybe you are doing something you love but you just feel like you could be doing better. Use that time to really ask yourself, like, what do you think is happening? What is the root beliefs that you're operating from? Take out a journal. And I feel like journaling really helped me find my voice because it's really hard to declutter the noise in your mind if you just try to think all day. Like there's so many thoughts that you have in a day. It's really impossible to really get solutions if all you do is think. You have to take more action, and journaling is an action. Everybody feels a little lonely at some point, so don't feel like you're alone on that. I feel like nobody talks about loneliness because, I don't know, it's not sexy, it's not glamorous, but it is reality. It's human nature. We do feel loneliness from time to time, but it's what you do with that feeling that makes or breaks you. Don't let it consume you. If it weren't for these negative feelings, emotions, and situations, you wouldn't be able to appreciate the good or even know it was good when it came your way because you would have nothing to compare it to. So start reframing your mindset and thinking, I'm going through this for a reason. What can I learn from it? What can this teach me? What can I do to use this as my superpower? I'll just wrap this up and say for me, I'm in a place now where it wasn't easy. It didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of work every single day, but it all comes down to building the relationship with yourself. How solid are you by yourself? It's actually a skill to learn how to be at peace alone. Sometimes I feel like the universe puts us through certain things because it is specifically meant for our soul to heal through those things. I would think if I didn't have to go through these things, I wouldn't be able to have these conversations with you guys and share it for someone else who's maybe going through it to be able to learn. We need stories to relate to in order to discover more about ourselves and to feel seen. Your story can help someone else feel heard and seen too. That's all for now, and I hope that this video was helpful in some way. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this subject? Have you ever dealt with this loneliness feeling? I'm on a glow up journey, physically, mentally, financially, all of the above. If that sounds like you or something that you are interested in, then make sure to subscribe to stay tuned for more. All right, besties, see you later.